Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Get woke, go broke. For the most part, when speaking about this concept, the age-old adage, I mean, it's not really that old, only a couple of years, but it's such a powerful phenomenon that it feels as though it's been here for centuries. But mostly, get woke, go broke targets corporations. Mostly. This time, however, it's a little bit different. Remember yesterday we were just talking about a California school board in a leaked video meeting on Zoom, trashing parents and saying the only reason that they want to open schools again is so they can have their babysitters back, and that's basically the only kosher part that I could show you guys. They said some other horrendous things about parents who just want to have their kids back in school. Well, get this folks, the entire California school board just resigned after that leaked video. The entire school board. And so this is the ultimate get woke, go broke, because we know exactly how broke public education is, how woke public education is, how corrupt teachers unions are, and how connected they are to the crony establishment Democrats, and this is the ultimate backlash. I have never seen backlash like this targeting woke education. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about, and then I want to get into some other stories that have been releasing over the last week, and let's just talk about this whole woke academia topic, the cult of woke, how far it's come, and how destructive it really is. So we got a lot to get into, but before we do, please make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible, and with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Check this out, folks. Entire California school board resigns after leaked video of trashing parents for wanting schools to open. NorCal, the entire school board of the Oakley Union Elementary School District resigned late Friday after a video of them mocking parents was leaked to the public. The president of the board, Lisa Bresendine, resigned first, and the other three members, Kim Beatty, Erica Ippolito, and Richie Masadas, resigned later Friday. School board members in Oakley, California were caught mocking and trashing parents who desperately want their children back in the classroom during a virtual meeting. The board did not realize that parents could watch the meeting. And yep, of course, your immediate thought is, well, not exactly the brightest bunch, but they're also the bunch in charge of educating the next generation. Yep, tell me about it. And just take a look at some of the topics of discussion during their Zoom meeting. One of the board members said that parents just want schools to reopen so they can smoke weed during the day again. Board member Richie Masada said that his brother had medical marijuana service and the clientele were parents with their kids in school. They don't know what goes on behind the scenes. It's really unfortunate. They want to pick on us because they want their babysitters back, said board member Lisa Bresendine. An absolute joke. Talk about prejudice, talk about stereotypes, talk about being hateful and spiteful, lazy and entitled, talk about being a Democrat. But for real, you guys get what I mean. To lump up all parents who are outraged over their kids not being in school under that kind of definition is absolutely despicable. And to not have any sympathy whatsoever when your job is to take care of the next generation and to make sure that they're ready to enter the workforce and enter the world in their later years is so beyond disheartening. These are the folks that are in charge with making sure that your kids can then charge forward and take on the world. And they don't care. They don't care that some of the most disenfranchised youth are suffering. Who do you think is falling behind as public school teachers and teachers unions refuse to go to work because they don't want to be babysitters for the kids? It's the kids in inner city communities. It's the kids who may have a warped family environment and are suffering at home each and every day. Those are the kids who are falling behind. Those are the kids whose futures might be destroyed given the current dynamic of youth education. And to see the lack of sympathy, the lack of understanding, because these teachers, frankly, just don't want to go back to work, is just sad. There is so much of this when it comes to the public school system. So many people who view it as a government job, they view it for the benefits. I know a lot of teachers who have taught within the public system, and the amount of time I've heard people who go into education and work in the public school system, oh, I just want to be a teacher because I get my summers off. I want to be a teacher because I only work a couple hours a week and then I'm done. The amount of times I've heard that is crazy. In fact, it's the thing that I've heard the most. It's very rarely about wanting to create adults and instill good values into children, and more so, me. Let's not memory hole one of the leads of the teachers unions, I think it was in Chicago, maybe another state, who as she was tweeting that she could not go back to school and the coof pandemic is too dangerous, blah blah blah, she was vacationing on some island resort or something like that at the poolside. Give me a break. And speaking of teaching values to the next generation, this is another thing that the public school system is failing on to a catastrophic degree. U.S. school sends out chart calling for the end of the regime of whiteness. I'm sure you guys have seen this before, this chart right over here. The 8 White Identities by Barner Hesse. White supremacy, white voyeurism, white privilege, white benefit, white confessional, white critical, white traitor, white abolition. And so essentially, no matter what type of white identity you are, they all seem to be negative. No matter what you do, you're the bad guy. You're on some end of the spectrum that isn't necessarily favorable, and there's baseline something wrong with you. And not to mention, on top of that, they put white privilege, which from what I understand in terms of woke intersectionality politics is every single white person that exists. They put that 2 ticks from white supremacists. This, my friends, is what they're teaching kids. This, my friends, is disgusting. It's always the same thing that's said when we see stuff like this. What if you did the same chart for another group identity? The outrage would be unbelievable. Do it towards white people, and apparently it's okay. Now, to be completely honest, I'm not offended by it. I don't really care. It doesn't affect me. But it's frustrating because this is what they're putting in front of kids. And so it does affect me because it affects society. It does affect me because it's a destructive ideology. It's cultural Marxism, and it's creating a boogeyman of a specific group identity. When in history has doing something like that, following that type of doctrine ever led to anything positive? Every single one of you with your head screwed on straight is saying never. It never has, hive mind. And you know what? I just wish people could have some common sense about this, because clearly this type of stuff is just flat out wrong. When Donald Trump went after critical race theory, this is what he was going after. Maybe on the debate stage he wasn't able to explain it, he didn't understand it off the top of his head from a fundamental perspective, but he was on the right side of the issue, and it's permeating every level of society, culture, and corporation, and field of study and field of work. We have this from the Coca-Cola company. Breaking: Coca-Cola is forcing employees to complete online training telling them to try to be less white. Look at this slideshow right over here. Confronting racism, understanding what it means to be white, challenging what it means to be racist. To be less white is to be less oppressive, be less arrogant, be less certain, be less defensive, be less ignorant, be more humble, listen, believe, break with apathy, break with white solidarity. So apparently being white is baseline being oppressive, being arrogant, being too certain in yourself, being defensive and ignorant, being cocky, and not having the ability to be humble. Where do they get this stuff? And even beyond that, talk about prejudice. And one of the final slides of that presentation, of that seminar, that critical race seminar, it literally says, try to be less white. That type of language, that type of targeted identity politics is not okay for any racial group. I don't care what color you are. This is wrong. But in the current society that we're living in, it's not okay for any racial group except for white people. And somehow the critical race geniuses of liberal academia think that this is gonna solve social issues and create a less divided society. I mean, how backwards can you possibly be in your thinking? We've got this one, which was a joke at first, that 2 + 2 is equal to 5, and that math is racist, but it's permeating throughout academia and being pushed forward even on a state level now. Adding wokeness, Oregon promotes teacher program to subtract racism in mathematics. We've got Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation bankrolls math is racist lunacy, and we are reaching peak wokeness within academia. It's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And just think about it in terms of correlation and causation. I know obviously the general fallacy is that correlation doesn't necessarily equate to causation, but in this case, just as a thinking exercise, just think about it. Ever since this woke cultist mentality in liberal academia has reached the level that it has over the last 4 to 5 years, have things gotten better or have they gotten worse? Have people gotten more divided? Has freedom of speech and freedom of expression gotten better or worse? The answer is quite clear, and it's up to you to think, is woke academia the culprit, the cause, or is it the evil orange glorf man and the MAGA chuds, as some lefty would tell you? You can make your own opinion on that one, and I'll leave my opinion for you to interpret. But that's what I got for you guys on this one. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. I gotta get back to work because, I mean, someone's gotta do this. Someone's gotta speak up against this deranged BS, this overt anti-white hatred that's being taught to the youth of the next generation. And I just want to end it by saying racism is bad, no matter who it's targeted towards. It's never justified, and the fact that I even have to say that is a little bit mind-baffling now, isn't it? But thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.